Welcome back to the main deck. This is a Cruise News production. I'm the executive producer at CruiseNews.com, and my name is Joe Maragliata. I'm here with my partner in crime, managing editor Harrison Liu.
Joe,
Harry, how
it's a
you doing
pleasure to
today?
be here with you, Joe. We've been talking about this for a long time, and Cruise News I think is doing really well, and just really just want to say before we start how happy I am that we're doing this.
Me too. I've been wanting to do a podcast with you forever, and actually not even necessarily cruise related, but because we started doing this
Right?
venture with CruiseNews.com, I honestly was so excited to finally get this kicked off because I feel like we have so much to talk about, and we're gonna find our footing as soon as we figure out what people like and what we don't like after doing these recordings. So, but first off,
Mm.
how's it going in Miami? Because right now it is
Ah.
just raining here in Illinois, and I can't stand it.
Well, Joe, Miami is paradise. I've been here for a little more than 25 years. I'm originally from Jersey, and I never looked back. Miami, of course, the cruise capital of the world. Let's say South Florida, cruise capital of the world, because we can't necessarily omit Port Everglades. And gosh, Port Canaveral out
Yeah,
in Central Florida is making huge strides these days. So
yeah.
I know that that's something you and I constantly look at, Florida just being, I'm sorry to rub it in.
Nah,
It's 82 degrees. It's sunny, puffy clouds in the sky. I went out for a 6-mile run this morning through the port. Actually, there's no ships in port today. It's spectacular. Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, well, in all fairness, I did the opposite. You started in Jersey, ended in Miami. I started in LA, and now I'm in
Yeah.
Illinois. So, it doesn't really make much sense. But luckily, we have travel and we have cruising to look
Well,
forward to.
you're in the cruise capital of the world, as equidistant from every port, let's
Yeah,
say.
exactly. So yeah, there you go. Half glass full. I can go to the West Coast. I can go to the East Coast. It's not that
Yes.
bad. It's not that bad. I can't complain.
Right?
But you brought up your fitness, and I think you and I agree that we both are active fitness. You do a little bit more running than I do. I do a little bit weight training. But one of the things you brought up to me was talking about fitness on a cruise. I think you asked me one day,
Yes.
like, what do you think people are doing? What do you typically do? Let me ask you something. When you get on a ship and you think
Yeah.
about, obviously you're no longer on your Miami streets running, you're running paths, on the
Yeah.
waterway and stuff like that. You're obviously on a cruise ship. Is there anything specific you do? Because I can share what I do, but I'm curious what you
Yeah.
might.
Well, gosh, I'm happy you asked me, so I get to go first, but you get to bring out the end here. So when I'm on a cruise, personally, fitness and wellness has been something that I only started paying attention later in life, only very recently in the past 5-10 years. I really feel that it's something that a lot of people like you, Joe, you and I were relatively the same age,
Yeah.
middle-aged.
Yeah.
And we are, as a population, becoming more and more aware of our fitness. So for me, I actually have made fitness as part of my vacation. So say, for
Nice.
instance, I was on Celebrity Reflection
Mm-hmm.
in December. 5-night cruise. I'm going to talk, we'll have a separate conversation about how cheap it was. But 5-night cruise, 2 days, I woke up, we had a call on Key West, went out for a 6-mile run in Key West. And actually,
Beautiful.
funny thing is, I run with a Garmin, so I downloaded my entire Garmin history
Cool.
last week, and I pumped it into AI. And
Nice.
ChatGPT was able to give me a trends report over the past 10 years that I've been running. And of
Wow.
course, yes, and it's telling me how I've progressed. But one of the very interesting things that it discovered was, hey, you seem to run this constant loop in Miami, but it seems like when you're traveling, I've run in Iceland, I have run in Puerto Rico, I have
That's
run
cool.
in Peru.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty about these cruises, right? The ship pulls up in Key West, gangway was open at 7 o'clock, went out running, and I was still up at the buffet before everyone else.
Absolutely. No, I see.
Yeah.
I love that. And also, that's really a good call out to the Garmin or any type of tracker like that.
Yes.
And maybe in the future podcast we'll talk about our favorite products and stuff like
Yes.
that what we travel with. Because to be honest with you, that's such a cool, unique way to utilize AI, but also taking your fitness tracking to another level and just kind of reminisce a little bit. It's like my Instagram. I see the photos of my
Yes,
past, but you can look at your runs, which actually is really neat, actually, when you really think about that. That's
absolutely.
really cool.
Yeah, and of course, tracking your food and all of these things.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, to tie it back to something that I started doing back in when I was working for Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean, one of the most innovative cruise brands out there. Uh, Back in the late 2000s, they were already seeing that wellness was going to be
Yeah.
a vacation
Yeah.
must. You know,
Absolutely.
if nothing else, I'm sure after a workout in the morning, you feel
Yeah.
great. You get
Can
the circulation going.
I mean, and I'm sorry to make you kick this off, but I'm actually really happy you talked about the way you did, because I do think about that destination wise. But in fact, like I'll give you an example. My last few cruises have been on one of my favorite cruise lines. Not to play favoritism, but
Hmm.
there's a reason for what I'm about to say is Virgin voyages. What
You
they
can
really
have your
have.
opinion. Come on, man.
Well, no, 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 of course. But I'm one of those people where I want to be open minded, because next thing you know, Norwegian or Royal could surprise me. Now they're my favorite with a new cruise ship, right? But no, lately Virgin. The reason why I really have been sticking to Virgin and talking about my fitness regimen is I love their track. Their track is very just it's very clean. It's very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, I've been on cruise
Yes.
lines where it almost like wasn't aesthetically pleasing to get to the if that makes
Yes.
sense. So whether I'm walking or running in the morning, and especially in the Caribbean where you've got the sun in the morning or just sun throughout the day, and I'm trying to get myself some vitamin D. So like to answer you or
Hmm.
to answer your question about how I do my fitness, basically
Yeah.
I always walk throughout the day, multiple times a day. That's something I don't really do here outside. I mean, I usually go to the
Yes.
gym when I'm on land, but when I'm on a cruise ship, I love walking the track. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
And of course,
Okay.
I'll lift weights in the gym if they have a nice gym. But specifically, there's nothing better than right before breakfast, getting out there early, watching the sunrise, and walking on the deck, maybe with a coffee in hand. But yeah, that's
Now,
something I do multiple times a day.
Joe, I see, I've been following you. I like to think I'm your biggest fan. I've been following your Instagram and your Facebook, and I do see all of these things. And I also see that when you're at home, you're in the gym lifting weights. I mean,
Yeah.
working on your guns and all that kind of stuff. How do you maintain that on a cruise ship? I mean, you say that if it's a nice gym on Virgin, um, are you do you like a particular brand of fitness equipment like Techno Gym? I think a lot of cruise lines they use Techno Gym. Or what does your morning look like when you are
That's a
incorporating
good question,
fitness?
actually. So, and actually, if you didn't say Techno Gym, I wouldn't have had an answer. But I will say that's one of my favorite brands when I see that, and I trust it's a trusted brand that's good quality, whatever. But yeah, to answer your question, I actually lift a lot less on the cruise. What I focus
Oh,
on is maintaining movement,
hmm,
whether it's always taking the stairs rather than the elevators. And listen, I understand some people have bad knees, bad backs, or you're on vacation, you really don't. But I always tell people, if you're always wondering why you can or I should say how to avoid gaining extra weight on a cruise, even if
yes.
you're eating a lot, is simply always walking and taking the stairs if you can, of course.
Taking the stairs. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
So I do lift, but I can tell you that, let's say I lift 3 to 4 times a day, or sorry, a week on land. When it comes to the cruise ship, it's maybe like once or twice, depending on the length of the ship. I'm more or less just being active on the track or just walking throughout the ship. That's usually my mission, is kind of just being active. That's really it. Yeah.
That is so important. I think, you touched on, I think my number one fitness rule is never take the elevators,
If you can avoid
right?
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that not choosing the elevators is better on a larger ship because you know that there's always going to be people waiting at
Hmm.
the elevators and you are going to be visiting every floor.
Oh, yeah.
I,
Yeah.
you know, I will tell you when I'm trying to get up to a higher deck, I literally arrive faster than the people right in the elevators.
Oh, yeah. Always.
You know?
Always. I've never had an issue with it. Like I said, I always feel bad because there are people literally have like bad knees or something. And I only bring up that because I
Right.
hear that often. I hear people say, I can't do that. I can't do what you're doing. I'm like, I get it. I get it. I'm not telling you, but at least
We have
walk
to
more
do
if
it
you
until
can.
we can't. That is the thing, right? We have to do it until we
Exactly.
can't. Well, let me ask you,
Exactly.
do you or have you ever taken classes? Have you ever taken any of the fitness classes that the fitness centers offer on board?
I have done a yoga class. I think that was on Celebrity Beyond, I believe.
Okay.
And I've done Virgin. Speaking back to Virgin, Virgin is very fitness forward, very health forward, including their food and stuff. Typically, if
Uh-huh.
you really seek it out, but they also have really fun classes. They have like an '80s dance party in the club, which is more fun. It's definitely fitness. It's very much like Richard Simmons style. It's
Yes.
really cool. You have the neon wear, they got black lights. It's a lot of fun. But no, they also have some really good fitness classes as well. And I recommend them, especially if they're free. Take advantage of them because
Yeah.
usually they'll give you some extra training that, or maybe even like some kind of body fat percentage check and stuff like that. It's really neat. So that's not something I seek out, but sometimes I'll do it for the article, like to write an article and to let
Yeah.
other people know.
Have you noticed if Virgin bundles fitness classes or has a fitness bundle? I ask, I mean, say for instance, when I cruise Celebrity when I cruise Princess, Sky
Yeah.
Princess,
Yeah.
I did a 16-night transatlantic last February,
Wow.
not this past February, last February.
Okay.
One of the great things that I love about Princess is their inclusive package where it has beverages, desserts. It also includes 3 fitness classes.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, so for me, and now back then that was $65 for like all of these things. I'll tell you,
That's good.
soda package. It
Yeah.
includes like what a well alcohol and all that kind of stuff.
That's great.
For me, I was drinking San Pellegrino for 16 days.
Yeah.
Regular water did not touch these lips. And I, I took those 2 classes and I signed up for more. I gotta
Yeah.
tell you,
That's
it was like, it
great.
was a nice little introduction into, because I've always poo-pooed it, It's like, oh,
Yeah.
what can you really do in these little smaller spaces? You and I, we're used
Yeah.
to big, huge gym spaces,
Of course. Well, I'll answer. So you asked me about Virgin.
Yeah.
I'll say this, and don't quote me on this. I guess we can always do the research. And let's be honest, you and I both know being in the industry for so long. I could say something and it's changed next week, or
Yes.
it's changed 10 times over. But anyways, I'll say this. Actually, I think Virgin is known to be all inclusive at the start. Now, that doesn't mean alcohol is free. That's the one thing that's not free. But let me explain.
Yeah.
Typically, if anyone's watching this or listening this and says, "Well, I've never been on Virgin. How is it different?" One of the biggest things I always tell people is, when I say all inclusive, I mean you pay what you get. There's no hidden fees, except for they upfront tell you you got to pay for your bar tabs, right? But that being said, I believe, if I remember correctly, all the classes are free. You just have to sign up for them. For example, that '80s class, you had to sign up because there's limited space, but it's all free because it's already been
Wow.
technically included in the price. But to your point, if
Hmm.
Princess, for example, has a package and it's actually good stuff enough for you, be like, I want to sign up for some more classes, then they're doing their job right. I don't
Yeah.
mind
Right.
paying for anything if I'm getting my value out of it. Every now and then
Yes.
you feel like you're being nickel and dimed, and that happens often in the cruise space, unfortunately. But if it's,
Happens in
listen,
every space, right?
absolutely. And you know what? Like, nothing's perfect, and they'll get their feedback. And but you just said something to me that now could, because you're my friend and I trust you. If I go on Princess and I see a package, I might take advantage of that because, like I said, I get that it's worth my money rather than, and that's why we do what we do, right? So
Well, Wi-Fi is the gateway drug, of course. I mean, I was looking at this as that, okay,
yeah,
$60 is going to be like $30 a day for internet anyway. Let me
yeah,
just double it. And then I get, unlimited drinks,
yeah,
a premium dessert every day. I mean, those big, huge, like
yeah,
red
yep.
velvet cakes, ice cream, 20 different beverages, and,
That's
and like I
good.
said, it was like amazing. I
Yeah,
do feel, and of course, this is why we love cruising, right?
yep,
We're looking for a lot of cruising offers a lot of value. Um, so yeah. So, that's fitness. And I really hope that you and I focus more on this because I really do feel that our generation, those of
hmm,
us, you got the boomers who are, cruising on the smaller ships, they are not as ambulatory, which is great. This is why they work so hard all their lives to enjoy themselves. But for those of us who are in maintenance mode, who are in health mode, who are still ambulatory, I think this is a undercovered issue
yeah,
for cruising,
yeah,
and actually, for hospitality overall.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. You
so
know
so
what?
I want us to cover this more.
I'm gonna double down on that. Let's put out in the universe, Harry, and let's mark this date. What's today's date? Let's mark today's date and
March 11th.
March
Yes,
11th.
indeedy, sir.
And here's what I want to put out in the universe for you and me. I would love to get Cruise News to the point where we can host ocean or river a fitness forward, a health
Yes.
forward of all ages, specifically 21 up, because people, depending on the cruise line or whatever. But no, I would love to do a fitness forward, health forward, cruise themed Cruise News where we are kind of, maybe we bring on some special guests, maybe a fitness trainer, maybe a nutritionist, and there are speakers. And then, we can actually have something like that. Because, selfishly, I want to be on that. I would love to
Yes.
do that, not only cover it for editorial, video, podcast, but also just the fact that I think that, like, to your point, that is something a lot of people in our age range, even younger, are now drinking less,
Yes.
thinking about their future. They want to travel with
Yes.
intention.
I love that phrase, travel with intention.
Yeah.
Joe, that's really, intention is like the word of the decade. It's something I think
Yeah.
you and I both individually have discovered the meaning of, the deeper meaning of
Yeah.
intention, right?
Yeah.
Now I don't mean to change a subject.
No, go for it.
We touched on Wi-Fi, and
Yes.
Joe, you and I both we're you're much of a tech geek than I am, but I'm a little tech geek myself. Wi-Fi, you touched on it, I touched on it. Wi-Fi is air these days. I cannot breathe if I don't have that connection.
Crazy.
And some people, I think we've had discussions about this many times where people are. It's such a two-sided. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's like I can't breathe
Absolutely.
without it, but then if I have it, I feel like I'm wasting my time on board. On which side of that line do you stand?
Okay, so I've been one of those hot take people where I'm like, I need it, I need it, I need it. But let me be clear here. I've been a content creator for over 10 years, and my livelihood has been the internet. It's just the way it is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, I need the internet. So that is Wi-Fi, right? But I can also respect and be empathetic for people that want to check out, right? They're sick
Yes.
of the emails from their bosses or their clients or whatever it is. So I'm in the camp of, I lean on, yes, I would like it. I would like it so that I can share my life, what I do for a living, be able to work from cruise ships. I love that. So I'm definitely in the camp of, yes, I'm all for Wi-Fi. I like some good Wi-Fi. I get a little upset when the Wi-Fi on board's not great, but what about
Yes.
you? How do you feel about it?
Oh gosh, Wi-Fi is. I'm with you. Wi-Fi is air, but the thing is, I think you and I both have. We figured it out. I think you and I, part of wellness, touching back on what we just talked about, part about wellness is also limiting and controlling your digital ingestion, right?
Yeah.
And, you have, because we have experienced this so much, it's been really a lot of our lives. And probably at one time it was unbalanced. But you and I think we've established our own sense of balance when it comes to technology.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people who are, looking to maybe do a little digital detox or digital balance when they're cruising? I mean, I assume you probably get lots of looks when you're head into your laptop or something when you're on board. And
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would say this. I would say, if that is something of concern for you, you're on vacation, you want to really check out, then put your laptop and your phone in the safe and literally go out and tell the people you're with where you're going to be. And worst case, you're on a ship, you're not going to get lost, you're not going to be missing, you know what I mean, so to speak. But yeah, just go enjoy that way. I mean, it's okay to, like, Virgin, for example, is one of the cruise lines that gives you free Wi-Fi right off the bat. You don't have to pay for it. It's not great. You can check your emails. You can maybe post on Facebook. It's not super fast. So you still have that access. But you know what? Throw it in the safe, walk around the ship for the day and give yourself a full day or two detox of not touching it. That's it. And I do that too once in a while. But as I said, I genuinely enjoy my job, what I do for a living. So I just need it. That's part of my job. But then, I'm like, if I've cruised with my mom or, my wife or a friend that maybe doesn't really they want to check out, then I'm happy to put mine in the safe and just walk away from it, and just enjoy the day and do whatever. That's it. I mean, there's really not much more. I mean, sure, you could put on airplane mode, you could not buy the premium package. There's a lot of things you could do. But in the end, I feel like, being connected, of all ages. The last thing I'll touch on is, I've met when I go solo, I love solo cruising in the main dining and sitting next to an older couple and they start talking to me because they look at me, they're like, I look like their grandchild, and so we have this great conversation. And next
Or
thing you know,
great-grandchild.
they're the ones, even though I'm alone sitting at a table, they're pulling up their phones on the table. They're like, oh, I was showing my grandkids what I was eating for dinner. So, I feel like back to your point of living and breathing with Wi-Fi, it's not exactly a bad thing to be attached to your phone if it's bringing you joy. You know what I mean? In this case, she was sharing with her kids and her grandkids what she was eating. She's having a great vacation with her husband. So everyone's different, but yeah, just leave it in the room. That's it.
See, more from an industry perspective, I think Wi-Fi has been a game changer.
Oh God, yeah.
Because, the majority of cruise ships are white on the outside. And for the longest time, I mean, for as long as cruising has been one of the longest running, transportation sectors, right? For the longest time, it was a mystery inside these white exterior steel hulls. People were not necessarily sure, like, oh my goodness, is that something that's beyond what I can afford? Is that something that I don't know I'll enjoy? It's something where, gosh, I gotta plop down maybe X dollars a day, and I'm stuck on the ship for 7 nights.
Yeah.
And what if I don't enjoy it? Now, through content that you disseminate from the inside, I think you are dispelling that mystery, and you're really bringing more people to understand that, oh, cruising is for me, or cruising can be for me. Whereas it was always no, I would never do that. Right. And
right. No, absolutely. I mean,
No.
it's like I said, it's up to you how you want to spend your vacation. No one should tell you how to enjoy your vacation. And I get that sometimes people on technology get bad looks from certain people, which, let people judge. That might be a hot take, but it's like, don't let anyone control how you're vacationing. As long as you're not bothering anyone else, do not. You know what I mean? Do not let anyone
wear headphones. Headphones.
Side note, my mom just came back from LA. And I picked her up and she said that apparently someone was watching their movies without headphones and no one was saying anything. She's like, what the? And it was in her aisle. So I was like, oh, how rude. Speaking of the no headphones, like how rude. It's a big no-no.
United says, use headphones or we'll blacklist you. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. I'm a little ambivalent about it. Some people just don't have that wherewithal.
Right.
Because they do it so often and all that kind of stuff. It's not necessarily a step that they think about. I don't know. I mean, especially older travelers, they're hard of hearing. My father, I bought him a pair of AirPod 4 Pros. 250. Where is it? He doesn't remember.
Oh no.
I was like, he asked me for it. I bought it. I delivered, got delivered to him. Like, he's bilingual, and I'm like, Dad, these AirPods will automatically translate for you at the moment. And now there's like $300 because I'm throwing in tax and delivery. There's $300 now hidden underneath his stuff. I don't know.
Oh no.
Yeah. So,
God, I've learned that lesson, but I won't shade my mom. I love my mom.
yeah.
So I wanted to talk about something, and you kind of, what I love about how, for anyone that doesn't know me and Harry, we go way back. I won't go into another video, we'll go into it, but we go way back. But see, Harry came from the corporate world. I came from the content creator, media, journalist world. And what's nice about us is we bounce off each other from those dynamics, very yin and yang, right? But one of the things you brought up, you asked me how I use Wi-Fi, and I basically told you, unfortunately, I use it from a content creator standpoint, so I'm, big pro, whatever. So I'm going to kind of do the same with you, but the opposite. Yeah. As someone who's traveled 50 plus cruises. But from a content creator standpoint, I don't really know wave season, and I wanted to touch on that. I know what it is, but when you create content like I do, I book any time of year, and a lot of times I'm either invited or I pay my way.
Yes.
And wave season never really mattered to me. You know what I mean? Just
Yes.
like I said, Wi-Fi was important for me because it's my job. So let me ask you
All right.
from a more corporate standpoint.
Yes.
Let's talk wave season. I know you covered it on cruisenews.com, so maybe you want to touch on this and I can chime in as well. But
Sure. Well, before I launch into that, I just want to also plug you here. Joe has a running column on cruisenews.com that one of our missions is to get on every ship and report back on all the Wi-Fi metrics so that you know which ship has the best Wi-Fi for your needs. All right?
It's a Wi-Fi guide we're putting together. Yes. Sorry about that. I forgot that. Thank you.
That's right. Yes. So wave season, this is something that we are going to, or at least I am going to continue covering it. This happens every year. Official wave season. Ooh.
You can't see it, but I'm just showing you. I pulled it up on the website. Sorry.
Wave season traditionally has been the time where all cruise lines would front load, quote unquote, front load their bookings between the months of January and the end of March. That's when people are really looking at planning their next cruise. Coming straight out of Christmas, coming straight out of some of the year-end holidays. Those are
Tax
times.
season.
Tax season. Oh, Joe's trying to see if he can buy a cruise with his refund.
Oh no, I owe a lot of money. Sorry.
Oh, boo. Boo. So, it's after you spend all this time with family, and we know that cruising is great with groups, multi-generational family cruises, group cruises, friends cruises. Everyone can go do whatever they want to do during the day and never see each other. And then they have dinner together. It feels like home. So after everyone talks about this, it's time to book. That's usually January. When you're coming out of New Year's, it's like, okay, the immediate season that's coming up would be some last minute spring break cruises. But really, we're looking at that coming summer Europe cruises. And also, cruise lines have expanded their itineraries out to 2028. Say it's 2026 right now. Expanded their itineraries that are open for booking out to 2028. Between January and March, they have seen historically that most people do a lot of their booking then. And so the cruise lines compete amongst themselves. You're not going to find the lowest prices. These are the times when cruise lines are lumping in value adds to entice you to book. And so, one thing that we are exploring on our wave season webpage is looking at what you want, what travelers want out of this, because they're slicing and dicing deals in every which way to promote themselves and kind of to confuse you a little bit.
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily maybe confusing. No, let me take that back. Confusing is not intentional. It's just that they're trying to stand out.
Yeah.
Right? And so you find the larger lines, they are lumping in value adds like Wi-Fi and third and fourth guest sail free. You look at the smaller ship lines where it's more exploratory or more immersive, they are throwing in airfare because sometimes those are in really, really hard to get places. It's not like your Barcelona or your Miami departures where there's tons of airlift. They're throwing in air credits. They're throwing in pre or post hotel nights. Part of this is they're trying to find ways to make it easier for you. They're trying to identify the value in which you would book, really. And of course, lowering the bar too. Some of them will say, oh, we'll take $50 deposit. You can cancel. You just lose $50.
Yeah. So I would double down on what you're saying and say, I would call it pain points. They look for pain points.
Yes.
Like, for example, I look at people, I think you and I are very well traveled, right? Like, if you told me tomorrow I need to be going to Switzerland, I wouldn't panic. I'd be like, okay, I got my suitcase. I know what I need. Check the weather. Like to me, traveling, like I very much consider myself an expert because, and then not
Yes.
just cruising. I genuinely, because I don't do just cruising. I've done
Well, you don't
tourism.
do, we've done land too, right?
Yeah,
You know?
right. And the reason I say the way I'm saying the pain points is because I look at people. I always try to put my literally my feet in other people's shoes, like my mom, for example. And I use her
Yes.
as a jump off because she is very skittish with travel. So, for example, I know going into it, if she found out there was going to be a free hotel and a free shuttle and a free, all of a sudden she's like, and you know what the thing is, not to bash the cruise lines, but to your point when you said earlier, it's basically what they're doing is they're not tricking you, but they're smart. It's clever marketing. They're like, oh, these people, the majority of our customers are scared to book without a travel agent holding their hand. So how can we make them feel very safe? And that's how I look at people like my mom. Is like she wants to know she feels like she's being escorted to and from and stuff like that. And if
Yes.
that's in the marketing, they might be able to upcharge or even give you a little bit of a deal on the back end, but you don't know it because you're being taken care of in the front. So
Right.
it's smart marketing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, I mean, gosh, you just mentioned so many great reasons to cruise
Oh,
in that
absolutely.
one
Yeah.
little talk there.
Yeah.
But, one of the other things is that I want to mention that sometimes it may not be cheaper. It might be a little cheaper to
Yeah.
buy it from the cruise line, a little bit,
Mhm.
but the convenience of a seamless experience from touching down at the airport to that ground transfer to the hotel, the ground transfer the hotel to the ship, that has a much higher price point for me than the actual cost.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just one person because cruise lines will usually appoint one person to meet you at the airport, to take you to the hotel, to meet you in the morning at the hotel, to take you to the ship. It's familiarity. And confidence and security. Really, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
love that the way you touched on that too, and the way you put the wave season on cruisenews.com.
yeah.
Like, by the way, if anyone's watching or listening, if you go to cruisenews.com in the main title bar, there's a Wave Deals 2026, which will kind of touch on more with articles that Harry covered, and anyone else that might be covering it with us on the site. But right now, Harry's kind of tackling that. Just like our
30
Wi-Fi guide.
cruise
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
We evaluated 30 cruise lines offers. We looked at their marketing. We read through each and every word in the terms and conditions, and we put it in a easy, what is it? A easy to reference grid. So you can actually do comparisons from line to line also.
That's it's really good. And it's funny, you know what I love about working with you, Harry? And I think I've touched on this before. And I think we both have the same feeling. It's always fun to work on a group project because I've been solo content creator for
Yes.
joesdaily.com for so long. And as much as I love doing my own stuff and being in control, it's nice to always almost be reminded of other things going on. Like whenever
Yes.
you and I talk, part of the reason I wanted to do this podcast is because I love just chatting with you, whether it's over new technologies, nerding out over stuff, or new cruise line stuff.
Yes.
It's funny because like I said, I've been so ignorant to wave season because I'm a creator. I don't care what year it is. I'm not looking for discounts per se. I just need to get on the ship to start reviewing stuff. So for me, I learned so much just with the stuff you put together. And I'm always like baffled. I'm always like, oh yeah, I missed all that. I forgot about that.
Well, as you say, we geek out together on tech, and that's why I love working with you. Is that you come up with that Wi-Fi guide. I'm like, wow, I never thought about that, but it has been a pain point, as you say, and so I feel like what you and I are bringing together are firsthand experiences, and we're seeing like, oh gosh, there are some undercovered items, and then there are some things that really need to be addressed, and that's why I'm very happy to work with you.
Yeah.
I'm bringing some of those things to the surface and then really evaluating them to help people make better decisions. Really, that's really it is, right? That's
To
really all it is.
piggyback off all this about like loving working with each other, one of the other things I'm really excited about this podcast, and I really hope that people get a lot of, they get a lot of, how do I say this?
Uh-huh.
They're getting help through our podcast. That's all I'll say. Like I hope it's
Yes.
worthy of people's time to listen and watch or whatever. But one of the things I'm really excited about is to bring on our friends, right?
Yes.
We've got people working for us at cruisenews.com, but we have so many colleagues in the space that aren't necessarily attached to this, but they guarantee they'll want to jump on and basically
Absolutely.
shoot the ship with us. Um,
Ayo.
hey, that's going to be a shirt. But no, I'm really excited. We've got some really cool people like
Yeah,
Ming and Mikkel and just so many
absolutely.
great people that I want to bring on here. And especially people that I like kind of like the people that you and I talk about, the YouTubers out there that we admire or
Yes,
are friends with, that I really want to get on here and talk about
yes,
what they're doing, stuff like that. Anyways, I'm excited to
absolutely.
to to get people like that on board.
Joe, let me sum this up. What I think we are doing with Cruise News, what I think we're doing here, and by the way, yes, I also see that you and I are probably going to take half a step back from this to feature other personalities, other experts, because that's how you and I learn. We're talking with these people. I think that one of our missions, well, what our mission really is to offer context, insight, and perspectives. Really, and this is the thing. I do feel that might be like a undercovered kind of side here. Yeah, there's news, but what is the context? What is the insight? And
Absolutely.
also,
Yeah.
how are people interpreting that news? And we're not here to tell people what to think or what to cruise or what to do.
Right. Right.
We're here to offer them insight, context, and perspectives to make a better decision themselves.
So to actually lead with what you just said, the perfect
Yeah.
ending to merge into what I wanted to talk about next was one of the
Yes.
things I want to do. And I'm sure as this podcast expands and just grows and does all this new stuff and adapts, I'll have probably like little sub names to what we're doing inside the podcast. But in this case,
Nice.
right now, I want to kind of touch on some hot takes and from the subreddit Cruise on Reddit. Is that
Yes.
okay? Do you mind if I
Uh-huh.
start that?
Absolutely. This is
So
a lightning round.
yeah. So to give some context for people, because I understand that not everyone knows what Reddit is, or maybe you've heard of it. So Reddit is essentially, think of it as an online forum, one of the biggest in the world, one of the most searched websites and also most ranked websites. But
Yes.
what a subreddit is it's essentially a subcategory inside of Reddit that is like a community. So for this case, think of anything, whether it's finance, cars, or in this case, cruising. So there's actually a subreddit called Cruise, and you can sign up. In fact,
Nice.
just to put in perspective, just so people know how big it is, there's over or close to 600,000 weekly visitors at this subreddit.
Wow.
That's insane. So what I like to do is I go on almost daily and I like to kind of answer people's questions, whether they're hot takes or not, but they typically are pretty hot take.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to jump in. We actually already covered one today, but I'm
Okay.
going to round back to it because I think we might be able to touch a little bit more on it. But want to start with one. And this is from a person by the name of That Camel 2. Don't know what that means. And the question is, are mega cruise ships getting too big? So would you like to start with that, or your opinion on that, or do you want me to start?
You know what, Joe? I want to hear, you know me, I want to hear what you think. If you're asking me who do I want to listen to, deep down inside it's I would say me, but outwardly I'm going to say I want to listen to Joe.
So I think sometimes I'm not the best judge because when as a creator, I'm just excited to experience everything new, whether it's big or small in this case, right? And if we're talking about mega ships. But I will say, hot take would be I think they are getting a little too big. But you even see some of the brands starting to roll back that. But for example, you've got the classic Royal Caribbean is kind of the champion in this market with the Icon of the Seas and what is it, Utopia of the Seas, and all
Yes,
these
Symphony
new
of the
these new
Seas. Yes.
and I haven't, in full transparency, even though what I do for a living with the cruise stuff, I haven't been on those specific ships. I've been on some of their big ships, but I haven't been on Icon or Utopia.
We have to remedy that, sir.
I'm
We have to
aware.
remedy that, sir.
So until I'm, to be full transparent, because I haven't been on those ships, I can't really give a full judge other than the fact that I have been on all sorts of, from big ships to the small ships to the river cruise ships. And personally, I do think they're getting a little too big personally. But I do think that that's some people's cup of tea. They just want to go in a moving resort. I mean, it literally is a resort on water. Um, it's not my favorite type of vacation. I personally like the middle ships, and I love river cruising, even though I'm pretty young
Yes.
for river cruises. Those usually skew older. I just love the more intimate vibes.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I would say they are getting a little too big. Even they can't go everywhere. You know what I mean? They literally can't go to certain parts of Europe, and they can't go to certain parts in just the world in general. So I think that's limiting. So
Do you remember what is the largest ship that you have cruised
I
so
think it was Wonder
far?
of the Seas. I
Wow.
think.
Yeah, that's not that's a I think we have that here. We had that here at Port Miami. Yeah, that's one of those ultra super Oasis class things, right?
Yeah.
With the ice skating rink in it and
Yep.
the aqua theater and all that kind of stuff.
And I had a great time. I did have a
Yeah.
great time on it. But thinking even bigger than that, I don't know if I
Hmm.
would personally. Like I don't know if it would be
Oh.
something I'd lean on. You know.
Do you remember what you enjoyed and what seemed a little bit what was a friction point and what was something you thought was really really good?
Well, I'll say this: the on
Hmm.
a positive note, you can't be bored on it. If you tell me you're bored, it's actually why a lot of times I relate cruising to Vegas. When people say
Yeah.
they don't like Vegas, first off, I'm like, is it because you don't like gambling? Do you not like food? Do you not like entertainment? Do you not like crazy architecture? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, to me, I'm like, you can't just say you don't like something. You got to really follow up with why, because truly, you know what I mean? And that's how I feel about cruising. In this case, on a positive note, I was never bored. On Wonder of the Seas, from the water slides to the various venues. I mean, literally,
Yes.
there's a venue for everything. And there are days where I'm just like, I'm gonna just hang out in this area of the ship the entire day. And then tomorrow I'll do that side of the ship. And then at night I'm gonna go see that show. There's so much entertainment. It's almost overwhelming, but in a good way.
Right.
So I would say that was on a positive note. Other than the
Okay.
friction, I'd say what I do remember is it was crowded. It was a full
Hmm.
when I was on Wonder, it was full. At least that's what I was told by the front desk when I asked,
They
is it
usually
is it
sail full. Oof.
yeah, which
Sail
hey,
full plus. Sail full plus.
good on you. I mean, good on you for getting it. You know what I mean? That's amazing. But that was it. It was like that was the friction. But even that wasn't that bad. I think they designed the ships now, especially the new ones, from what I've heard. They design them so well that you don't feel like the amount of people on the ship. Yes, there were venues where I felt like it was a little congested, but typically you're walking around the ship, you don't feel like you're bumping into people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Joe, um, you again. This is the thing, folks out there. If you don't know, Joe and I, we catch specific words every time someone says something, and
Yeah.
Joe caught on dropped a lot of not triggering words, but like words that have a lot of meaning for me. Never bored. Here's the thing, so I worked for Royal Caribbean's corporate communications department for 9 years back in the day. And I was part of the communications team that launched the Oasis class, the Oasis of the Seas, Allure of the Seas. That was the first two of the Oasis class ships. Never bored, Joe. Why you are never bored was the Oasis class, and I believe now some of the subsequent super mega ships that other cruise lines are launching. Up until the Oasis class, they were building ships to entertain you for 7 nights. That
Hmm.
was pretty much their goal. Essentially everything on a cruise ship is created. It's something where they are masters. And you said, by the way, another word you said was Vegas. Cruise lines look to Vegas for ideas because Vegas, that's where they really have the very, very, very cutting edge entertainment, cutting edge dining. And again, they are a sort of like walled off kind of little thing. Same as cruising. You said, personally, I don't think that ships can get too big.
Mm.
Because, Joe, you and I also, we're coming from a very privileged and blessed perspective of
That's
not
true.
having children.
That's true.
If you had 2.5 children in tow,
Yeah.
and if you wanted to go on a vacation, and if you really wanted not to spend
Yeah.
every moment with your kids as you have for 358 days of the year,
Yeah.
you go on a cruise, you're like, hey, let me drop the kids off at the kids
The
club.
kids center, the kids club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They make these ships now, one, they make them so big that you have to come back. And when you come back, you have another experience.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Right? The other side is, heck, I want a big ship. If I had kids, I want to be, the Oasis class is a 1/4 mile long. I want to be a 1/4 mile down the Royal Promenade.
Right. Right.
While my kids are up there, the flow rider in the aft of the ship.
That's a good point.
And part of this, the design, the architects at the cruise lines, they kind of know this. It's sort of like, okay, separate out the kids, Royal Caribbean. And this is not because I have worked for them, but I also have bought cruises since and sailed on them. They're really great at what we call line busting. Set up nearly 7,000 guests.
Yeah.
Nearly 3,000 staff members on board.
Crazy.
More than 10,000 people on a ship the size of a World War II aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
And sometimes,
it's impressive.
Yeah, there's a line, but I don't know. Sometimes it's not as long a line as I've experienced on other cruise lines.
Absolutely. Oh no, I mean, you got to commend them. I mean, the design it's wild. It's truly wild what they're able to do. Like I will commend them any day of the week, even if it's not my jam. But to your point, I don't have a child, so I'm spoiled because I can take a river cruise that doesn't have children on it, or I can go to Virgin Voyages that's literally notoriously kids free, and not even think about it. But then if you got the parents that are like, well, I'd rather go on a cruise than go to pay $10,000 on Disney. You know what I mean? Like for a vacation. So no, you're not wrong. And that's why, back to my Vegas quote, well, I never said this, but I kind of alluded to it. Vegas has something for everyone. So when you say it's not for you, I don't know if you're actually being truthful if you don't tell me truly what you didn't like. You know what I mean? And that's why I always tell people cruising, I'm like, you can't, it's just, okay, I'm going to use one other relation because I love wine. When someone says they don't like wine, but they didn't specify the grape, the region, and I'm not saying you got to be snooty, but I had someone say like, oh, I hate red wine. I'm like, okay, does it give you a headache? What did you have?
Yes.
What kind? Right. How much did you drink? I mean, there's so many questions.
How much did you drink?
And if you're just learning about me on this podcast and this is your first time listening to me, you probably have noticed I'm a very half glass full person. I try not to be a negative, Nancy or Nelly or whatever you call it. But
no,
I'm always
why I like talking with you,
Well, because I'm always like, God, there's good in everything, right? I mean,
absolutely.
And that's why I've been such a big advocate for cruising for so many years. I'm like, man, I've had bad experiences, but that didn't make me not want to cruise. And
that's kind of the thing, right? I mean, you just touched on a great point here is there are so many cruise ships and so many cruise lines out there. And why you and I keep on going back, even though, as you say, we have had perhaps a negative experience or two. But that helps us refine our choice next time.
Absolutely.
And sadly, it also tells me that I need to pony up more for my cruises. Sometimes you do pay for what you get, That's true. That's the thing. Which, to go back, I want to add to your Vegas thing. Vegas is not for me. Not because I don't like entertainment. Not because I don't like food. Here's the thing. I do feel like Vegas is not for me because you are truly paying a premium for Vegas because Vegas is really on the cutting edge of all of those things.
Hey.
And heck,
great reason.
They are reasonable in charging that because that's a premium for uniqueness. That's a premium for amazing experiences.
No, you're not wrong.
Cruise distills that down into the same quality, but a lot less when it comes to the barrier of entry, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good way to end that, actually. And I appreciate you answering the question I said is like, do not tell me you don't like something unless you have a good, not that you have to prove me right or wrong. I'm just saying, just don't blanket statement of like, it's bad. It's horrible. It's like, okay, well, tell me. But I want to lead into, we're going to do one more hot take, not really hot take.
Yes.
Like I said, I don't know what to call this segment, but one more, and then we're coming to the end. I think we're trying to make, correct me if I'm wrong, podcast about an hour. Are we aiming for that? We're about 49 in.
Hey,
about that. I mean, I just like chatting,
For now.
So this one.
Sign up below for the premium level where you get 2.5 hours.
God. We're going to be talking about cruising while I'm making lunch in the background.
Oh my God.
It turns into
We're
a
just
food
going to
chat.
live stream. We're just going to live stream Cruise News 24 hours a day, 7 days a week
24/7.
now.
So this I guess isn't a hot take, but I actually, you kind of actually already touched on this. So someone by the name of quote adventurous 1145 said, this is the question they had. What's the longest cruise you take? Now, you said something earlier, unprompted. You said you took a 16-day transatlantic, which, by the way, I'm jealous because I still need transatlantic on my resume.
We'll remedy that too.
Oh, that's definitely, trust me, it's in the cards. I'm already looking at some, but so that didn't answer my question or the question, but this person asked, what's the longest cruise you take? Obviously, they're not asking me, they were asking the subreddit. But I want to jump in and respond to this.
Yes, please.
I know you took a 16-day, but that doesn't answer the question, what would you take? The longest I've ever taken, not including the before and after days on the ship, was a 15-day river cruise on Virgin. Oh, no, sorry, I keep saying Virgin, sorry, I apologize. Viking Cruises. And this was in Europe, starting in Budapest.
Beautiful city.
Beautiful city. Oh, sailing at night out of Budapest. Oof, beautiful. But it was 15 days on Viking. It was with me and my wife, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was called the Grand, what was it? The Grand Romantic something summer, something like that. It was beautiful. That was the longest I've ever taken. Like I said, before and after, I think if you count the days before and after, it was probably like a 17 to 18-day trip. But
That's
talking
a really
cruising,
comprehensive
15 days,
itinerary. You probably visited everything on the Danube, no?
Yeah,
Everybody.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, we had a joke where we'd get a bottle of wine on top of the top deck, and we'd take a sip of wine every time we saw a castle. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. But that being said, that doesn't, once again, to answer the question, I think the longest I would be right now, you know, I love cruising. The longest I would probably do right now would probably be I'd say 25 to 30 day I would try ocean, probably. That would definitely be a long time. And of course I'd be working on there happily because I love, like I said, I love my job, and every day I love doing what I do. But I think I could do 25 to 30. I think I might be sick of it by the end, as in like I'm ready to go home. But what about you? So you did 16 days, so you've beaten me technically, but what would you be willing to do?
Gosh, Joe. I mean, that's something I did because my mother.
Yeah, I remember that.
My transatlantic, right? I was like, for me, again, cruising with my mother is so great because I don't have to worry about her, because most of our arguments are about her cooking to feed me, and I just want to spend time with her. Yeah, you know, and that's really most of our arguments, really. She wants to be a mom to me, and I just want her to sit with her and immerse in the situation.
That's funny.
I'm going to tell you, my record on board has been 29 days.
Whoa.
As I said, I used to work for Royal Caribbean, so essentially I was launching ships every year. And this was, I believe, Quantum of the Seas.
Where we met.
That's right. Well, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But no, I don't want to interrupt that. We can talk about another if you want. But tell me about that. I didn't 29 days.
So that was these are, you know, by the way, those cruise cards are blank because those were preview sailings.
Right.
So I had to go out to Southampton. We would do 2 weeks of two-nighters. It was Groundhog Day, reliving the same day two over and over again. And every 2 days, we would bring on 200 journalists and creators because the ship was just so... Quantum of the Seas, not as big as Oasis class, still pretty big, but at that time during the launch, I called it the iPhone of the seas because at that time, that was the most technologically teched out ship ever. And it was the first cruise ship to introduce broadband Wi-Fi on board. It was first ship to actually use Starlink. We were streaming Netflix on board.
Whoa, you guys are way ahead of your time then.
And that's why we had you come on way back when.
No, I know, yeah.
Because all of a sudden, as you're saying, like, oh, now I can work on board. We were looking at creators as a secondary audience.
Yeah,
you know, because we
I remember that.
recognize that you could work on board now
Yeah.
with broadband.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was like nearly 4 weeks of every 2 days, every 2 days. I wouldn't recommend it. I'm going to tell you personally,
Yeah.
I get homesick on day 3.
Sure.
Yeah,
No,
I get
sure.
homesick on day 3. You
Yeah.
know, because it starts. Here's the problem: is that on board it's so relaxing for me. It is. I also hate myself for wanting to get relaxed. I was like, I
Sure.
need the pressure. So yeah, I don't know. I ask myself this. I feel like it doesn't really matter, because also you look at folks now. There's these residential cruise ships constantly being marketed, right?
Yep.
Some people are loving cruising. That, you know what? I want to do that 365, 24/7.
So I have a can I chime in? So
Please.
I was just thinking about this. You said something interesting. You said, I don't recommend it. And as I'm sitting here, I was like, why am I unique in the sense of I could do it? And it's actually a simple answer.
Yeah.
So
What is that?
it's so funny when people look at what I do for a living, what I've done for a living over the last 10 to 15 years. You get a lot of like snarky, like jealous comments because, a lot of
Yeah.
my job is to literally review a cruise ship or a hotel or a destination, right? Which is like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very grateful and I'm very fortunate what I've gotten to do. Like you said earlier, like we were
We're
privileged and
blessed.
whatever,
Yeah.
blessed, exactly. But I'll say this. I'm kind of like a retired person, so to speak. And what I mean is this. When I think of someone who says
I get it.
29 days or living 365 on a cruise ship, those are the people that are retired. Clearly, right? Because they're not obviously working, right? They're retired. But see, me, I got to be honest. When I'm on a 7 or a 10-day cruise, I'm very much relaxed. Like I said, I'm very lucky. I'm blessed. I'm on a cruise ship, right? When I'm filming and I'm vlogging my day or my embarkation, or I'm going to Grand Cayman and I'm talking about the food I ate on the island or whatever, yeah, I'm working, but I'm on an island and I'm eating food and I'm filming. That's my job.
Yes.
It's different than someone who's on vacation for 7 days trying to escape the
Yes.
life. This all goes back to
Yes.
this entire conversation about Wi-Fi and is it good or bad? You know what I mean? It's like for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's good because I get to work and I get to do what I love for a living. You know what I mean? So it's like it's
I
funny.
get
Like,
you.
I look at the
Well, here's the
29.
thing. You and I both know, because of the circle we run,
Yeah,
the circles that we run in, is we know a lot of digital nomads, right?
a lot of them.
And
Yeah,
yeah, and so, well, and I would consider you a digital. You can be.
yeah.
You
I
have,
yeah
if nothing else,
yeah
it's probably like a blueprint you already have stashed in your mental files. It's like, if I had to be a digital nomad in 24 hours, bam, 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 I know exactly
gone.
what I need to
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
You know, and sign up for personal Starlink
yeah,
as a
yeah.
backup.
Thanks. So
But that's what I admire about you. And yeah, Joe, you're probably the oldest millennial I know, like, way beyond your age.
yeah, no,
And
absolutely.
I will say that I don't think you are I think maybe this is what you're saying. I don't think you're a great example for
Yeah,
this case, because,
no,
for you, I feel like, as you say, it is your job.
yeah,
And actually, I have seen you on a ship, and I see you are working your ass off. Yeah, probably you're thinking in your head when you look out the window, like, wow, that is beautiful. You
yeah,
don't say it. In fact, I see you're constantly shooting.
yeah,
Joe and I were having coffee in an onboard cafe, and all of a sudden, I'm in a mid sentence. Joe walks off, takes a picture, goes outside, takes a picture, comes back. I'm like, well, so what did you miss, Joe? I mean, I tell you, you're not a good example of,
yeah.
the onboard experience. And this
Absolutely.
is, sadly for you,
Yeah,
you could never turn off. At least for me, when I'm
yeah,
working for a cruise line, I can't turn off, but I do get these downtimes where I'm not
yeah.
working for a cruise line and I get to speak my mind.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, uh, people out there,
Yeah,
I think you should put in your comments how long a cruise you would take if money were no object.
And if you have cruised before, this isn't your first time thinking of cruising. Actually, no, do what Harry said. Leave a comment how long you take. But also, if you have cruised before, let me rephrase it. Let us know what the longest you've done. Because some people are just weekend warriors, because that's a way they can only take a day or two off work, but also have an extended weekend. And they do like a, out of Miami or Fort Lauderdale, they'll do like a 3-day, 4-day Margaritaville or Carnival or something like that.
C'est moi.
I am curious. That's a good call to action to ask people what they would do.
And because we are fact-based here, I want to know ship. I want to know itinerary. Right?
Yeah.
We need to know ship and itinerary because that makes all the difference.
I was like, what else? Blood type, 4 digits of Social Security. Just kidding. Yeah.
Only type O negative, please. Only type O negative.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Harry, do you have anything else you'd like to touch on? That was actually everything I wanted to cover today, to be completely honest with you, but I'm always happy to. Is there anything else?
I think, Joe, we have so much still yet to cover.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't have enough time today. I think we got to, seriously, folks, but we need to really just save this for the future. Come on back.
Yeah.
Take a look at more topics that we are going to do deep dives in. Really, I think that there's so much about cruising, and we're not just stopping at cruising because cruising touches land. We're going to also talk about Joe's land experiences, because one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because Alaska season is coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
you did that amazing Holland America Alaska cruise tour.
Yeah.
But we don't have time for that today.
We can let's put a pin on that and talk about it next podcast. And actually, to Harry's point, back to the whole leaving comments. Let us know things you want to cover. This is why I go in the subreddit and cruise, because it gives me inspiration to talk about things. Because a lot of times people are either complaining or questioning things, first-time cruisers. So we're trying to answer those types of questions. Also, it helps us craft better articles for you in the future that you can read. That's why we do the guides. So definitely let us know in the comments, and we'll do our best to answer those in the future.
Absolutely. Please also don't forget to visit CruiseNews.com. Look for us on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We are also on, oh my goodness, we're on so many
we're
things,
on all social,
Joe.
Except for TikTok right now, but that will come later. Yeah.
Right. And of course, this is just the beginning. Again, hopefully we will have like a third box on here very soon. We're booking more people to talk about these things, because I'm sick and tired of talking about this with you, Joe. We talk about this all the time.
This is the first episode I quit. I just shut my mouth.
It's like we got to get more quality guests on here.
And I promise I'll clean up my office. It's a mess right now. We're just hitting just getting it going. That's all that matters.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, buddy. Well, I will chat with you soon, because we chat pretty much daily, happily. But I will talk to you soon, and thank you so much for watching and listening to this first podcast.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone.
Happy sailing.
Happy sailing.